Everyone, today I would like to talk about the anatomy and physiology of gastroenterology. So I just divided this lecture into 3 videos. In that 3 videos I will complete that what's the anatomy and what's the physiology, and I will touch the pathology of the gastrointestinal tract system. So let's start about the what's the anatomy, how from where the gastrointestinal tract system start. So this is the anatomy of oral cavity. You know that the gastrointestinal system start from GIT. In simple word, GIT start from oral cavity, because oral cavity is the one which help the mastication and mixing of the food. So in the real digestion started from the oral cavity. In the digestion process, teeth and the uvula and the gums, they play a role, and the tongue, they can rolling the food, and the lower and upper lip, they also controlling the digestion, because when you are eating something, so you are closing your mouth, so closing through where lips, so then the digestion process will be started. So initial digestion process started from the mouth. In the digestive process, that are the salivary glands like parotid, submandibular and sublingual gland. These 3 glands which are helps for the digestion of the food, because that gland will produce mucus, some watery discharge, and some amylase enzyme which help the breakdown of protein. So initial process of digestion start from the oral cavity, and that glands helps the food to mixing, and then they mixing and break down into pieces, then they go into the esophagus. So these 3 are the major important glands which play a very important role for producing some mucus and watery secretions and some amylase secretion which help to digest the food. So initial digestion process start from the oral cavity. So oral cavity, these are the basic anatomy, that how you know the what's the basic anatomy, and these are the glands. Now I will talk about the anatomy of esophagus. So esophagus is the food pipe from where food travel from the, it is the connection between the mouth and stomach. So as you can see in the picture, so esophagus, they started from the pharynx. These are the pharynx, and this is the esophagus. So junction between the esophagus and pharynx we call upper esophageal sphincter. So that sphincter is a connection between pharynx and your esophagus. So this is a major connection between these 2 parts. So this is the upper esophageal sphincter, and then there is a lower esophageal sphincter, and this is the anterior to the esophagus, what is trachea. The anterior to the esophagus, there is a trachea. So this is the normal physiological sphincter present in the at the level of cervical vertebra, and this lower esophageal sphincter which are present at the level of thoracic vertebra. So they are the cervical esophagus, and these are thoracic esophagus, and this is the abdominal esophagus. This is how we divide the esophagus. So this is the tongue, this is the oral cavity, start from the oral cavity, then upper esophageal sphincter, then food travel through esophagus, and then through the lower esophageal sphincter open and food come. This is how same process here. So when sphincter open and food came. So this is the, in the previous PPT I talked about upper esophageal sphincter. Now I will talk about the lower esophageal sphincter. Actually, the lower esophageal sphincter, this is the lower esophageal sphincter. These are also called cardiac notch. Why? Because this is also because this is a cardiac part of stomach, and we call cardiac notch. And the esophagus, this is a mucosa inside, then outside is a submucosa, then there is a serosa, and then there is the outer layer, and this is a diaphragm. See, this is a diaphragm. This is how esophagus come, and they crossing through the diaphragm, and then they enter into the abdominal part. And these are the some ligaments, and this is a sphincter, and this is a gastric folds. These are the gastric fold, these circular we call rugae. Their gastric fold we call it rugae. So this is how the lower esophageal sphincter, this is the lower esophageal sphincter present here.